Yeah, Megan, while we have you, we're making you work tonight on this Friday, but we wanted to get an update too because this is the story that really put you on the map and kind of highlighted all of your reportage as well. We're talking about the Tory Lanez case, of course, and that's how kind of you and I kind of got acquainted as well. And you have done such extensive reporting. We know he's serving that 10-year sentence for shooting at Megan Thee Stallion, and he has now gone into custody. He's serving his sentence right now. It seems like the appellate process is moving along quite rapidly here. If briefly you could offer an update on the Lanez case.
It is moving pretty quickly. He has a new filing in. It was just yesterday. It's a habeas petition, which is something that convicted criminal defendants can do even years after their sentence if they're well into a prison sentence and they think that there's new evidence that supports their innocence, that supports resentencing, supports a new trial, and they can argue that they deserve further proceedings based on that. And he's done that based on a statement from his driver, who was actually there the night, the early morning that Megan was shot in the feet. She had several bullet fragments in her feet that were removed by surgeons. But Lanez had a bodyguard and driver who was driving the Escalade that night. And that was one person that we did not hear from in the trial. We never heard from a guy who clearly would have been an eyewitness to this. And it seemed like he would have been an eyewitness to this, but he actually showed up at the courthouse and Lanez wanted to call him as a defense witness during trial, but prosecutors had not talked to him at all or had any kind of benefit of any kind of pre-talk or deposition or something along that lines. So they wanted time to do that, which would have risked delaying the trial. So Lanez and his attorney made the decision not to call the driver as a witness because they didn't want to risk a mistrial or delaying the trial. It was right around the holiday time last year when this was happening. So he never testified, but now he's come forward and said, well, he doesn't know who fired shots. He didn't see shots. He did see an argument between Megan and her friend Kelsey Harris, who was the other witness to this, and who Lanez has always blamed for the shooting. At least in the trial, he blamed for the shooting. The driver has come forward and said that, yes, I saw Kelsey with a gun in her hand and there was a struggle over it, and that Lanez got out to get the gun out of her hands. It's a question of whether this is too little too late, because he point blank says that he didn't see who fired shots. And his testimony is really similar to, or his affidavit is really similar to the testimony of a homeowner who actually testified and pretty clearly said that he saw the flashes. He thought they were flashes and fireworks and heard fireworks, but he later realized they were muzzle flashes from a gun. He testified that he thought they began with, he said one of the girls, that the girls were fighting, but then he went on to testify that the shorter guy, the smallest individual, who would have been Lanez, got out of the car and was releasing a torrent of abuse, and that he was firing everywhere.
Wow.
And they even asked, the prosecutor said, how many shots do you think how many shots did you see the short guy shoot when you said he was firing everywhere? And the homeowner kind of paused and answered 4 or 5. So while he put the gun in Kelsey's hand in the very beginning, he went on to clearly implicate Lanez as the shooter. And of course, there's a jury sitting there hearing all of this, and they'd heard all the other testimony and the benefit of that. And they came back and convicted him. It'll be a year ago next week that he was convicted. But of course, his attorney now are arguing that the jury didn't have the benefit of hearing from this eyewitness, the driver, Quan Smith, who could have further corroborated that they were fighting. Although he does say in his affidavit he didn't see who fired shots, which I think would definitely be a point for prosecutors to explore on cross-examination, because it's almost hard to believe that you would be right there and see this all go down, but not see who fired shots, and then right after it happened, not be able to discern who fired shots.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, all of this will be so interesting of how, the prosecution and the defense will use it in the appellate process too. Everything kind of that you just elucidated there. There's a lot to go on. And so, as always, Meghann Cuniff, we do appreciate your reporting. Thanks so much for bringing it to us and our viewers here on LiveNOW. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. You too.